Wednesday Show. Wednesday Show. Wednesday Show. Hello, everybody. If anyone's out there, I'm not sure if you're out there. I wonder what this is. Okay, wait. We got a new feature that just popped up here. Chat Overlay lets you display live comments directly on your stream. Please note that some platforms like Twitch may have specific guidelines limiting display of comments from other destinations, so make sure to review their policies to stay compliant. Okay, but that's what we already do. Well, is this different than how we usually? Because I usually highlight the comment and then it pops up down here. But I'm wondering if that's like it'll have it so like there's scrolling or something. I don't know. We have no one on right now to even try it out. We might try this out here. Let's click on it and we'll find out what happens. Comments take the stage. Live comments from viewers will appear on screen during your stream. Keep the conversation going and make your audience part of the experience. Ooh. Well, let's see if whenever we get people starting to type in, we got some people who are out there. Oh, so it pops. It's like super small down here. So it'd probably be just better to do it this way because this way you actually see it. It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to learn the Muppets and Muppet Vision 3D tonight. Boom, boom, boom. How are you doing, Wacky TV Studios? Yeah, so tonight we're going to be continuing our deep dive, our third episode. It's bigger than, yeah, that's really small. Oh, now it's not even showing it. I think this is giving people the option. So there we go. So see, hiya, pal. Hello. But that's so small. It's like, what are you down here? It's so much easier when it's highlighted like that. So I think we'll get rid of that. I mean, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's not as cool as I think just highlighting things. I don't know what you guys think. Does it appear super small? Wait here. I'm going to do this again. Let me know. Does it appear super small when you guys start to type or start to place things into that chat room there? Now we just need to wait for someone to write again. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. There we go. It's super small. Teeny tiny. Look at it. I wonder, can I expand it? Oh. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Well, we'll just, that's not as exciting. Okay. Hello from Magic Kingdom. Hi from my condo near Magic Kingdom. That's the direction of Magic Kingdom. I almost went to Magic Kingdom today, but I was like, you know what? I want to do Muppet Vision 3D again before the show tonight, just to have it so it's clear in my head, even though I've seen the show so many times that I don't really need to have it. So I go through and get a ton of things, but we'll go through. So let's do this because this is part 3 of our deep dive at Muppet Vision 3D. And I'm thinking it's going to be our last one, but at the same time, I thought this was going to be like a 2-part episode, and now we're a 3-part episode, and we haven't even gotten into Muppet Vision 3D yet. So let's get to it. We're going to start the 822nd episode of the Wednesday Show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 822nd episode of the Wednesday Show. Today is May 21st, 2025, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be continuing our deep dive look at Muppet Vision 3D over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, thank you for everyone out there who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you didn't already know, every single Saturday we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to be coming to you from, but I promise you we will always be coming to you live from Disney. So make sure you join us every single Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time to join in the Disney fun. And of course, as we're talking about it, our current subscriber count is at 8,630 subscribers. If this number goes up as the evening goes on, we will go into extra innings as well. So send a friend or two or I don't know, 1,370. So we hit 10,000 subscribers sometime in the very near future. Send them all right now. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our wonderful, our super duper, our Patreon pals. If you're one of our Patreon pals out there in the chat room right now, give us an ooh yeah. Thank you to our Patreon pals. You guys are the people who sponsor every single episode. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon pal, send me a message. I will send you the link on how to become a Patreon pal. I believe it is patreon.com/Brent Dodge, or maybe it's patreon.com/From Screen to Theme. I cannot remember which one. But it's one of the two. So Meredith's my fave. I came off Pirates just in time for her portion of Happily Ever After. Perfect. Let's get this party started. So over the last few weeks, if you guys have not been joining us, we've been going through and doing a deep dive about not just Muppet Vision 3D, but the entire Muppets Courtyard area of Disney's Hollywood Studios in preparation for it leaving in 2.5 weeks from now, which is devastating. I really am not ready for Muppet Vision to close. I really am not. I'm not ready for this entire area to close. Today, I went over there. I did Muppet Vision 3D, and then I did a video of just kind of a walk around video. It was mainly me being quiet and just kind of taking in the sights and sounds. But at the same time, it's just so sad. Like, it's really sad that we're going to have Muppet Vision 3D gone in the very near future. So over the last 2 weeks, we've gone through the history of Muppets in the parks and how Muppet Vision 3D came around. We also went through the history of Pizza Rizzo, Mama Melrose, Stage One Company Store, It's a Wonderful Shop. And throughout all of that, we've been going through, and we haven't even started to touch on Muppet Vision itself. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to be going through and starting off with the queue outside and then working our way into the inside queue and then into the pre-show and then eventually into actual Muppet Vision 3D, the show itself. Like I said, I think this will be the final episode of this series, but there is a pretty good chance that we could be going into a 4th episode as well. And honestly, I would not be heartbroken because I am just loving talking about Muppet Vision 3D in this much detail. Before we go, if you guys remember, before we start, if the show's over. No, before we start, if you guys remember at the end of last episode, we were talking about the Finalmations of the Muppet Vision 3D Finalmations of Kermit the Frog. And then when I was putting it away afterwards, I looked at the one shelf and I was like, oh, I completely forgot I had this. And I wanted to show it to you guys today. This is a bank that they sold at Disney back in 2004. So that when I did my college program, there is a cast store that if things are not sold and they do not do extremely well at the stores, then they move it to the cast store for people to buy. And this is one of those items that I think people now would be like, oh my gosh, I need that. But back in 2004, not as many people really cared about Muppet Vision 3D as we do now. And this is the bank. We're on the front. We've got Kermit, Fozzie, and Miss Piggy. And then on the back, we've got Gonzo, Bean, Bunsen, and Beaker, along with Waldo, the spirit of 3D. And we're going to be going through all of this, either tonight or possibly next week as well. But let's get this party started. Now, there's a few different ways that I was thinking about how we could talk about this. And I thought, when I first moved down to Florida permanently back in 2010, I started to do these videos on YouTube, and it was like, not like I do now, where it's not like a daily video, but it was okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to cover these details, and we're going to do this kind of longer video, and then we're going to kind of, we're going to cover it and then just kind of go about my day, but I'm not going to do another video for a few months most times. And one of the videos that did extremely well spawned another video that did extremely well, and I figured, what's going to be fun is instead of going through and starting to talk about this stuff right now, how about we show you Brent from 2010 talking to you guys way back in the day of the outside area of Muppet Vision 3D. Wait, now that I'm saying that, I can't, where did my video go? Muppet Vision 3D exterior. Is that, no, that's not the one. Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. We're having some technical difficulties. Please hold. Boo-doo-doo. The number you're trying to reach is no longer available. Please hang up and try again. Okay, come on. Open up a new window. That should get... There we go. And then... I thought I had it up, but I guess I did not have it up. And now I can't find it again. Oh my gosh, where did my chat room go? Are you guys still with me? Hopefully you guys are still with me. This is just the most chaotic way for us to start an episode. Share screen. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. This is it. Ladies and gentlemen, I get...
We are here outside of Muppet Vision.
Young Brent Dow.
We're going to take a closer look at some of the fun finds outside of the building instead of inside of the building today. So join me as we take a look at some of the fun finds around the building.
Can you guys hear it okay?
The object that brings guests closer to this area is the famous Kermit hot air balloon. This is a nice little nod to the Great Muppet Caper, where the Muppets, at the beginning and end of the film, flew around in hot air balloons.
Okay, so... Oh, that's a beautiful face there. So in addition to that, I think what it's going to be important is if we stop in between and we have it so we go through, we see what I'm talking about, and then we're going to also explain what it is now. So if you guys saw that hot air balloon just now, by the way, is that working okay? Can you guys hear it okay? Hopefully you can. If you see that hot air balloon did disappear in the mid-2010s. So that was what we call a weenie. Now the weenie of the park, or the weenie, so the whole idea of a weenie was Walt Disney referred to like the castle at Disneyland as a weenie, as something that draws you near, because he used to take little hot dogs or weenies and hold them in front of his dog to get his dog to come up to him. So he referred to things that drew people into the parks as weenies as well. So one of the things that would draw people over to Muppet Vision 3D was the idea of this massive hot air balloon with Kermit the Frog up there. Now, this was, as I said in the video, a nod to the Great Muppet Caper. And in the Great Muppet Caper, if you remember, there is a massive scene at the end of the film where all the different characters are floating around in their hot air balloons as they are singing a song about how, you know, life is grand. So that is going to be our first little nod there. They also start off the entire film by crashing in a hot air balloon too. Wait a minute. So the first one, maybe it just ends that way. And I'm drawing a blank here. All right, let's go to our next video here. Look at that face. Ooh. Okay, here we go.
You can get Hot Fudge Sundaes pretty much anywhere throughout the Walt Disney World Resort, but here at Muppet Vision 3D is probably where you can find the most unique Hot Fudge Sundae at all. If you look up here, instead of a planter, we have Hot Fudge Sundaes, and if you look down a few spots down there, you can actually see an empty planter with sundae inside and a spoon, completely eaten up.
All right, so again, this is another one of those things that has disappeared throughout the years. So there used to be a wall that the wall is still there. The wall separates you from what is going to be the rest of that area. But that wall used to have it so behind it was going to be the Streets of America. Now, we talked a little bit about the history of the Streets of America, how the Streets of America disappeared. And when the creation of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, along with Toy Story Land, came, they got rid of things like the hot air balloon. They also got rid of the Hot Fudge Sundaes, mainly due to the fact that they would be interfering with the transition period from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge into the rest of the park, where we'd have everything else going through. So these are different things that were existing way back in the far off year of 2010, and now they are completely gone. All right, let's head off back to Baby Brent here and see what he has to say next.
All know the Muppets are completely crazy and out of their mind. So what's one thing that's in all classic cartoons and off-the-wall things? Of course, an anvil that's about to fall on your head.
All right, so the anvil that's on top of your head, that is another thing that has completely disappeared throughout the time. So if you are walking up to Muppet Vision 3D to this very day, on the right-hand side, we have that clock tower. Now, on the clock tower, there's also another fun fact. I don't know if Baby Brent's going to explain it to us, so I'm going to explain it to you right now. But Hanging off the clock tower, there is a black and white version of Gonzo, the great Gonzo, and this is actually a nod to a film from back in the 1920s called Safety Last. Safety Last is a great little film where at one point there's a very famous scene. It's one of those that actually was featured in the Great Movie Ride when the Great Movie Ride still existed, but it was one of those scenes where they had it so, I think, was it Buster Keaton? I want to say Buster Keaton, but don't quote me on that. He is going through and he's like falling down. He's like pretty much near death. And at one point he grabs the hand of a clock and he's hanging from the hand of the clock, about to fall to his death. And then he kind of swings off onto a ledge. So that is one of the things that were there. And then right below that, at one point, there was this anvil that looked like you were in a, have it so it was going to fall on top of you. Okay, Baby Brent from 2010. How about we go back to you to see what else you have to say?
At the stroller parking area, you will notice that the Muppets have added eyes to most of the pillars, lights, etc. to add a little bit of Muppetness to the attraction's exterior.
All right, so again, I like the little. So these little things are no longer there at the stroller section. The stroller section is the little green gazebo that is still found there to this day. But now it's not really used for stroller parking at all. Stroller parking is across the way. But if you go over there now, there are not those little eyeballs on there, but there is in the extended queue. We're going to look at some video footage of the extended queue in just a few minutes here too. But if you go through the entire extended queue, everything has little eyeballs on there, kind of looking at you, kind of adding in a little bit of Muppet zaniness, because it wouldn't be the Muppets if you're just walking through a very serious queue. So when you would go through the first area too, you would have it so that would be your kind of first indication that you were getting to things that were a little more Muppetified. In addition to that, a few of the other things that are found here in the queue are little artifacts that they would have actually used, Jim Henson and the other Muppeteers, they would actually have used to create different Muppets. So it's like going back in history, just like we are with our next video clip here. So let's go back to 2010 Brent.
Okay, one of the centerpieces right here outside of the attraction is the famous fountain. Here we have Miss Piggy, who will give herself a nice view. Oh, there it is. Fozzie, Gonzo, Animal, and an even hidden Mickey, considered a hidden Mickey, is the little rat right here. And if you look around, you will see several different rats.
Several different rats cut off. Again, this video footage was from the year 2010. Also, my friend Alex, who some of you guys know, she pops on the chat every now and then. She's also in Tokyo Disney right now. She was actually the person who helped me film this video back in 2010. So this was, 15 years ago. It's crazy. So as you can see in that little video clip, the fountain was completely different 15 years ago than it is today. Most people know the thing today as being the Miss Piggy fountain, and they don't really think about Fozzie, Gonzo, and Animal, along with all the different rats in there as well. But Gonzo, Fozzie, and the Animal and the rats were around up until about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and then they all just mysteriously disappeared. And we still have Miss Piggy there to this day, but sadly, the other ones have all completely disappeared. All right, let's go back in time. 2010, Brent, what do you want to show us next?
Just to the left of the actual attraction entrance, you can find Sweetums, one of the most beloved Muppets of them all, with one of these things paddling away with the statement, Muppet Vision, the 3D. If you remember, during the actual attraction itself, he does have one of these things that he's using. I don't know the name. In the extended queue, you can see that the Muppets have been making mayhem here by adding several different chalk things, turning the wall and the pipes into Gonzo with 3D glasses on himself.
All right, so so here we have Sweetums first off with the, what is it called? The paddleboard? Paddleball. That's it, right? Ha! Hey, if I could send his time thing back, or message back through time to 2010 Brent, I would say, Brent, it's called paddleball. I think so. But 15 years later, I'm still not 100% positive. So that is still there to this day. In addition to that, one thing that I do not think is in this video, again, I really just we just found this video right beforehand. I was like, oh, that'd be a great thing to show. On the right-hand side, we also have it so there is Statler and Waldorf. They're in vacation clothes, and one of them is saying, I hear that Muppet Vision 3D is better than getting hit by a 2x4. And the other one says, I won't believe that till I see it. So after you go into that area, then we have this pipe with Gonzo, or it's just the pipe coming out, but then they added the Muppet Vision goggles to make it look like it's Gonzo coming out as well. So again, we are adding a lot of Muppet zaniness throughout all of the things. Okay, let's go back in time. look at this kid. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Is that right? Yeah, that's about right. Okay, let's go back in time. 2010, Brent, what do you want to say to us?
While in the extended queue line, you can find several different posters that are parodies of actual movies. For instance, the first one you see is The Bride of Fraudenstein. We also have the Pig Sighting Adventure, a play on the Post Sighting Adventure. Of course, Miss Piggy as Cleo Pigtra. We have High School Mayhem, featuring such songs as What Time Is It? Summertime, time for summer vacation.
This kid is not as cool as me. Still a dork.
And there's Pirates of the Amphibian at Wit's End. Check out the rest of the queue line for several more pictures.
All right, so going off of that, let's talk a little bit about some of these posters, because a few of these posters are still around to this very day. If you actually go back a few weeks ago, I did do an entire video where I went back through that area. That area is typically roped off, almost always roped off. However, if you do go up to a cast member and say, hey, do you still have those parody posters that are back there? They'll usually say yes, if you want to go take a look, and they'll unclip the thing for you so you can go back there and take a look. That's how I did a video about it a few weeks ago. I'm assuming that come June 7th, on the last day of Muppet Vision 3D, I'm assuming a lot of people will be able to go through and actually look at these posters once again, because I think June 7th is going to be an insane day for Muppet Vision 3D. So if you are visiting on that day, I already have my park reservations for it. I'm assuming that we will probably be waiting in a very, very, very long line. Okay, we also have Beaky here. I don't know if we talk about Beaky, because the last thing I said on there was, that's about it.
Just above the Beaky poster, check out the paint roller that is attached to the wall.
That is no longer there.
At the very end of the extended queue line, we have a door. What's in the door? Well, it's Muppet personnel only, so we don't really know. But we do know that this door is alarmed and genuinely concerned. Alright, here we have the top secret FX generator with the warning, don't look up. But we're looking up anyways. Look up, look up. Ah!
Okay, so for these things right here, so for the FX generator with that guy, also the door that is alarmed and genuinely concerned, those things are gone. So those were actually, if you would go to the old Muppet Vision 3D queue, which is still the same as the current Muppet Vision 3D queue, it would go through and have it so it went all the way down the hallway, and once you got to the very end of the hallway, right now there's a wall, because behind that wall is actually the queue line for Rise of the Resistance. But back in the day, it used to be the Streets of America. So if you were actually coming into the Streets of America down San Francisco Street, so San Francisco Street and then New York Street went the other way. If you went by San Francisco Street, you took a left. On the right-hand side, we used to have those newsstands. On those newsstands, we used to have a few really cool little references to things like WALL-E and Toy Story, and then, of course, Walt Disney himself. If you took a look across the way on the left-hand side, that would actually be the very end of the queue line for Muppet Vision 3D. So there were times when I was, back in 2010, like this Brent right here, I would be walking through and I would see it and be like, oh, look, the line goes right here. And instead of walking all the way around the building, I used to stop there, open up the chain myself, and then go behind the people that were in line. So that is going to be where these things were located. They are now located at a spot which would actually be inside of the queue line for Rise of the Resistance. So pretty cool. Annalise is laughing at your High School Musical interpretation. It's pretty good, I'm just going to say. I don't know why you would laugh at that. I think it was just I got the moves. What can I say? Okay, let's head back to 2010 Brent and see what he's going to share with us next.
Here, while we're walking through the line, you will see several different posters talking about 3D glasses, why we should turn the 3D glasses, etc., etc. Make sure you take a look at these because there is a lot of different hidden detail and humor found on each one of these posters.
Oh, I know what we're doing here, but before we continue watching me get a drink of water, I think it's important for us to point out those posters there. So the posters that go through and they explain the different things, not only are they explaining the Muppet Vision 3D glasses, but in addition to that, they're also going through and explaining the different details and the different experiments that Beaker and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew have gone through and done in the past. Some of them explain things like going through a queue and how it takes so long to do a queue and things that you can do to pass your time in a queue. If you actually go back, and again, like I said, there was a video that I did just a few weeks ago. I go through and show the entire queue. There are still 2 of these posters up in the queue. They're not the exact same ones that you can find in this video here, because this video, again, this extended queue that we're looking at no longer exists. It's just part of the queue that used to be there way back in the day. Okay, let's continue on. Let's go with, we ended with Brent Dodge drinking water. Ooh.
The drinking fountains here, or bubblers as I like to call them, aren't your typical bubbler, but that have a little Muppet twist to them as well. Look at the piping. There's different faces all around the pipes.
This is the longest shot of the entire video. Oh, this is when I'm like, I feel like I'm being watched.
I feel like someone's watching me. That's right, even the bolts around here are eyes. Kind of creepy. We all...
Okay, and then we have some random dude in the background. First off, I think it's also funny that we look at how far cameras have gone since this time, because everything in here is very grainy. So I do apologize if you can't see things. But going back to it, the bubbler, or the drinking fountain, as most people in the world call it, the drinking fountain that is here, it does have all those little eyes. That drinking fountain is still found in the extended queue. However, all the different things that were on the pipe are no longer there. Now it is just a pipe. It's kind of dull and boring. However, those eyes that we took a look at on the bolts, those are actually still around to this very day. Okay, let's go back to the year 2010 and see what we're going to take a look at next. Ooh, probably just this random dude in the background. This looks like a horror film where, doesn't it? Where it's like, turn around, Brent. The guy's about to get you.
So Gonzo has absolute love for chickens. So of course, around the line, you have Gonzo has placed several different chickens, including one right here, where most people would never look. The Imagineers around here put several different 3D glasses on some of the faces hanging from the ceiling, which are actually speakers.
Okay, so going off the chickens and going off the speakers, they don't make bubblers like that around Wisconsin. No, they do not. I'm glad some people understand the reference to a bubbler. So this speaker right here, as you can see, it's got the 3D glasses in there. When we actually start talking about the actual attraction itself, this is one of those things that I do absolutely love about this entire attraction / queue, because when you go through and you think about the thought process that went through stuff, not only are they thinking about what the 3D glasses are going to look like while they're doing the production of the film, because we'll actually find several different 3D glasses inside the movie itself, but right here, we also have it so the 3D glasses are being used throughout the queue to have it so it makes the speakers look like faces. Now, a lot of the different things that we've seen, like the pipes that are on the bubbler and the things that are like found on the extended queue, a lot of this stuff is no longer there. The chickens, one chicken is still there, but the rest of the chickens have been painted over. But these guys, I am very happy to say, still exist in the queue. Not every single one of them, but most of them you can actually still find in the queue to this very day. So next time, well, so we may not have too much of it next time, but if you get a chance to go over there and go to look at the extended queue before, 2.5 weeks from now, go check it out, because you'll be able to find at least one of these guys still there.
Right above this door that's to the left of the attraction, you can find right above it that Rizzo the Rat has started his own business. It's the props department, and we got it for a price. We know the Swedish chef runs the projector in the actual attraction, but a little to the right of him is none other than a scary Muppet face.
Okay, so I think it's important for us to point out both of these things right here. So the props department with Rizzo the Rat, we got it for a price. That still exists this very day. However, the Swedish Chef one has been painted over. There's a few different things that are in the extended area, or the area of Muppet Vision 3D or Muppet Courtyard. And they used to have it so there were these different Muppet sayings on there. Or the one was the spot, what do you call it? The lift for the people to be out there painting. That was there, and it was falling over, and there was paint cans up there, and you could see where the paint was coming from one spot to another spot. That existed for quite some time, but unfortunately the Swedish Chef one, along with a few of the other ones, has disappeared throughout the years to make way for other things, including the scary Muppet face as I describe it way back in the day. All right, let's keep on going.
Over here on the side of the building, you can see up on the wall.
There we go. So this is something that I've talked about
that one of the Muppets has been doing a heck of a job painting Miss Piggy and Kermit while advertising Muppet Vision 3D.
3D.
But these are just a few of the fun finds you can find in the exterior of Muppet Vision 3D. On your next trip, I encourage you to come out here, take a look around, because there's a lot more stuff that you can find. Until next time, have a great time, everyone.
Have a great time, everyone. Look at this, 5.6 thousand views 14 years ago, 0 comments. What? Come on, people. And I'm one of the 16 likes there, too. Okay, so that is the outside area of Muppet Vision 3D, comparing it to both the outside then and the outside now. I'm making the announcement right now. This is a 4-part series. I did not think we were going to spend this much time just talking about the extended queue outside, but holy cow, here we are. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys make the decision, because we also have the queue inside the building too that we could go through and talk about as well with video. I've got video from both old times and new times. So let me know in the comments. Do you guys want to do that? But while you guys vote on that, let's start talking about it. So when we are first entering into Muppet Vision 3D, by the way, I think we would use the new time, because that video was so grainy that I feel like we need a little bit more. Okay, so here we're going to ask you a question, and it's going to be a pretty obvious answer due to the fact that we're talking about a very specific topic here. What attraction in Walt Disney World has the highest height requirement throughout anything? Throughout any park, any attraction, what attraction has the highest height requirement? Now, there are a few different height requirements that have been found throughout the time that do focus on how small you have to be compared to how tall you have to be. So there are a few where it is like Space Mountain. If you are like 7 feet tall, they don't let you on because you're too tall and you might hit a bar. But Muppet Vision 3D actually has the highest height requirement in all of Walt Disney World, and it's not one that you would typically know. It's not one that they advertise. But as soon as we walk into the building, the first thing you'll see is a little archway going into the hallway, and on that you'll see a little smuff area that has been hit, and underneath that, above that, it does write down, you must be shorter than this to enter. Okay, so we're gonna do, I think let's go through let's pull up that video I posted just the other day, because I think that's going to be our perfect way to kind of go through and take a look at it. look at little Brent. All right, let's get to that video. I thought I had that video up, but I did not. But guess what? I can get it up within just a few seconds here. So hold on tight, people. Okay, so this one we're going to do to make things a little bit quicker and easier compared to what the things do is craziness. Hey, man, how you doing, buddy? Okay, so let's pull up our video that we just had up there. No, not that one. This is the one we're gonna have. Okay. So what we'll do on this one here is, instead of going through, we're gonna mute the video, but I'm also gonna go through and I'm gonna explain some of the things about what we are seeing here to make life a little bit easier, a little bit more fun for us. Okay, so when you first enter into the extended queue for Muppet Vision 3D, on our left-hand side, we do have this little board that you can find at mainly like offices around the world. And these different offices will have it so you can have like little letters in there explaining exactly what the directory is for the specific building that you're about to enter. This is the directory for Muppet Vision 3D. Now, as we can see here, it does have the Muppet Vision 3D World Headquarters. This is the world branch for it. We have the directory here. Our first one is going to be the Institute of Heckling and Browbeating, with Statler and Waldorf being the commercians in chief, with Box A Mez being their location, because they are always in the Box A location. Our next thing here we have is Muppet Kitchens and Pyrotechnic Research, with the Swedish chef being a Tippy Top Cookie Guy, Suite 2649. Our next one down is the Department of Poultry and Mold Cultivation, the Grey Gonzo, Paramore Connoisseur, Suite 1913. Now, the reason he's at the Department of Poultry is because, as we know, Gonzo the Great's girlfriend is actually a chicken, Camilla the chicken. So that makes sense. And then also mold, because it just kind of makes sense for Gonzo. Our next one down is going to be Patriotic Analysis and Protocol, Sam the Eagle. He is an American. And because he is an American, we can see here that the suite is none other than 1776. That would be the year that the U.S. became a country. Okay, let's keep on going down. Okay. The Satirical Accumulation Division is Miss Piggy Diva. She's very sweet, 4444. And then the Academy of Amphibian Science is done by Kermit the Frog. Going up to our next one, we've got Muppet Vision 3D World Headquarters, the rest of the directory. We have the Division of Decibel Development Animal Percussionist at Large, Suite 6420. Now, before we get actually into the actual attraction for Muppet Vision 3D, I know you're thinking, you promised us this 3 weeks ago and we still haven't gotten to the actual attraction. It's okay, people. But inside of the actual attraction, one thing that I find fascinating, and I don't think many people talk about it, is the fact that throughout the entire show, there's a total of not one, but only 2 members of the Electric Mayhem. And one of them is not Animal. Animal, despite the fact that he's one of the most popular Muppets, actually does not make any appearance in Muppet Vision 3D. Okay, let's get to the rest of our directory out here. All right, let's go to our next one. Come on, slowly go down. We get the Adjustment and Groove Testing, Dr. Teeth Chairman, Floyd Pepper Ottoman, Suite E129. These are going to be other members of the Electric Mayhem. Department of Comedic Timing and Delivery, Take Fozzie Bear, Please, Suite 8232. And then we've got Cute Cuddly A.W. Shucks Attorneys, Bean Buddy, Your Pail, Too Sweet for You. Aww. I also do like the fact that Bean Buddy had made prior appearances in Muppet projects before Muppet Vision 3D, but he never actually was too popular of a character, and his first really big role would have been Muppet Vision 3D. So for people who were coming to this attraction in 1991 when it first opened up, this would, for a lot of people, be their very first introduction to Bean Bunny. Next one down, we have Soup of the Day. It's Split Pea, cup is $2.95, a bowl is $1.50, and no soup is $3.95. So yeah, it's got to be pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The smaller it gets, the more expensive it gets. And then we have alphabet soup, which I just think is a hilarious, absolutely hilarious little play on letters here, where we just have a bunch of letters kind of scattered about. Okay, so going behind here, we do have the security spot. Now, if you look here, we do have it. So there is a sign here that says back in 5 minutes, key is under mat. In addition to that, I think it's important for us to also take a look at the door that's in the background here, Muppet Vision 3D, the security door. Now, as we go through the hallway, we will find several different doors like this. I would also like to point out that I have a very, 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 very strong gut feeling. I could be 100% wrong, but because we are going to have the the Monsters, Inc. attraction replacing this with a roller coaster further back in the area, I have a feeling, because we do go through the doors with the entire, Monsters Inc., it's going to be like that roller coaster. It's going to be like the end of the ride when you're on the door, chasing after Randall and Boo. I feel like when you're going through the rooms with all the different doors, I feel like we're going to get doors like this. I feel like some of the doors that are found here in the queue line for Muppet Vision 3D will be one of the doors that are there. That's just my theory. I could be 100% wrong. We're going to be looking at the other doors in just a few minutes here as we go through as well. But before we get to that, let's take a look at this sign right here in the middle, which does say back in 5 minutes, key is under mat. Now, this is one of those things, it just seems like a really funny thing to put down there, back in 5 minutes. Why would they put the key under the mat? However, this is the Muppets. So if you go underneath the mat, you can find the key there. If you are one of the first people in the day to actually find this, they usually have it so there's a magical moment certificate on there for you to find. I do have one someplace. I can't remember where I put it, but I do have one someplace. In addition to that, on the back wall here, we do have our officer on duty, which is going to be Sir Porksalot. That's not his actual name. We also have the wanted posters. Miss Piggy is wanted by absolutely everyone. Fozzie Bear is wanted for impersonating a comic. Absolutely hilarious. I cannot get over. I just love Muppet humor. I think Muppet humor is the greatest humor in the world. In addition to this, we do have this picture of Miss Piggy on a calendar. If you actually go look at some of the concept art for when they were creating Miss Piggy, and specifically things like the Great Muppet Caper, they would have gone through and done storyboards for her in both the Muppet Show along with in the movies itself. This is actually one of the drawings that was used for Miss Piggy in the early days. So not just a little thing that they did for the calendar, an actual piece of Muppet history. Okay, let's go to, that's it, in this room. Yeah, go around. We got food. Yeah. Okay. Here we do have that sign. You must be shorter than this to enter. And then you can see a little scuff mark right here because someone clearly was not shorter than that to enter. Okay, let's head over. We got the pictures. Kermit the Frog there. We also are going to have several different doors. Like I said earlier, I have a feeling these doors will be found over in Monsters, Inc. land at some place in some way, shape, or form. But our first one here is going to be Muppet Vision 3D and those clever folks at Muppet Labs. This is for the Department of Artificial Reality, and it says this is not a door. Next to them, we do have Dr. Bunsen, Honeydew, and Beaker. Oh, no, we're going to go to the other side first. We got another one here, Muppet Vision 3D, and those clever folks at Muppet Labs, Division of Fashion Technology, making tomorrow a prettier place to be. Aww. To the right, we got Miss Piggy there. We got Bean, we got Scooter, we got Gonzo, we got Fozzie, and then we get to our next door. And on this next door, we have Muppet Vision 3D and those clever folks at Muppet Labs. Stress testing department, caution, content under extreme pressure. I just love Muppet humor. Then on the other side here, we have Muppet Vision 3D and those clever folks at Muppet Labs. Institute of Advanced Chronology, staying ahead of the times. So we're staying ahead of the times because we're in advanced chronology. Then, okay, we're going back. We got Bunsen Honeydew, Beaker, the Swedish Chef, and then Sam the Eagle there as well. And then I don't know why I'm focused on his lips, but here we have stage 3, and of course that D has been added to it. Now, if you remember when we were going through and talking about the entire history of Muppet Vision 3D a few weeks ago, we did talk a little bit about how the original premise of the entire Muppet Vision 3D show is not the fact that it's just a fun 3D show with the Muppets, but every single thing served the purpose of telling a different part of the studio making process of film or television or whatnot. And the idea of Muppet Vision was the fact that Kermit the Frog and gang were pitched the idea of, can you show us a new way to make 3D films? So the entire idea of this theater was not, hey, we're going to have a show with the Muppets. It was, hey, the Muppets are going to be presenting an idea of Muppet Vision 3D so we can know if it works well. And that way, maybe sometime in the future, we can go through and we can actually have it so we use this technology in future projects. So that's why we have it so it says stage 3D, originally so there's stage 3. And this is all really top secret, keep out, really, really tippy top secret. Muppet Vision 3D research, top secret. This means you keep out, top secret. So everything in here is, if you couldn't guess, not a secret at all. Okay, so we are being invited to go experience Muppet Vision 3D. We're going to learn about Muppet Vision 3D. But of course, before we get to that, let's take a look at some of the other details that are found in this lobby. First off, we got the 3D glasses. Here we can find that Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and his assistant Beaker are there on the signs holding on to or wearing the glasses. But let's go take a look at some of the other things, because there's a lot of different things in this room that is really worth taking a look at. First off, we got 2-bit quarters. Take the A Train. Production is Muppets Take Manhattan. Of course, Muppets Take Manhattan being a famous Muppet film from the 1980s. Here we have it. So Kermit is the director, and the camera is done by Gonzo. Okay, to the left-hand side, I think we go to the left, right? Oh, no, we go down here. Okay, Handle with Care. This is Ralph's Piano. Wait, I think we're going to go to the... There we go. Okay. This is from Russ Barker's Obedience and Music School to Muppet Labs, CO, Muppet Studios, Orlando, Florida. The contents are Ralph's Piano, dog food, and underneath you can see, please eat before expiration date, Old Brown Eyes, because if you have ever heard about Frank Sinatra, they always called him Old Blue Eyes. So this is a nod to Ralph the dog having brown eyes and being a piano player. So he has Old Brown Eyes, is back albums. And then it says at the bottom, expiration date tomorrow. In addition to that, if we go up, we got a poster here from the original Muppet film, the Muppet movie. Now, this would actually be a promotional piece for the film, the Muppet movie. And as you can see there, we do have it. So it's all the different characters with Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear, and a lot more. To the left of that, we do have Kermit the Frog there wearing jeans and posing as Jimi Hendrix. And then beneath that, we have Happiness Hotel. Happiness Hotel, we talked about a little bit last week when we talked about the Stage 1 Company store. And when we talked about the Stage 1 Company store, we discussed how one section of that store was focused on the idea of the Happiness Hotel, which originally debuted in the Great Muppet Caper. So the Happiness Hotel is the scene, take my wife, please. Production, The Great Muppet Caper. Director, Fozzie. Camera, Kodiak Brownie. And star, Ursula Major. Okay, to the left of this, I believe we go to the left, right? Do we go to the left? We go to the left. Now we're going to focus in. Okay, to the left of this, here we have Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Here we have Paisley bell bottoms, Nehru jackets, beetle boots, love beads, incense, Indian bedspreads, tie-dye scarves, and groovy shades, man. All little things that you could find from the Electric Mayhem. Also, if you've never watched the Electric Mayhem television series, I highly recommend it. It's found on Disney Plus. It was actually a Disney Plus film. Okay, so, or show. Up here, we have a lot of things that are going to be found. Whoa, okay, let's go back just a tad there. We got a lot of things here that can be found that are very 1980s Muppets / 1990s Muppets. Up here is a poster for Camp Waka Waka, starring Fozzie Bear. And then just below it, let's see. Hopefully we can get it on this video here. Okay, right here is the starring attraction of the entire queue line. I would also like to point out, if you've been going through and watching all of my different videos that we've been doing about Muppet Vision 3D over the last few weeks, I promise you we will have another one that goes into more detail about this waiting area. I cannot believe we're spent 50 minutes talking about all this stuff so far. We haven't even started talking about the pre-show yet. Oh my gosh, this could be a 5-part episode. So right down here, that popping up on your side where I'm pointing at, let me see here. Yeah, right down here. So on this picture, it's kind of blurry. You can't really see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. But it is a net, and inside the net is a bunch of Jello blocks, like Jello the food. And this is actually a nod to a Mouseketeer. Now, if you go back in time and think about the most famous Mouseketeer of all, you would think Annette Funicello. So this is a net full of Jello. It's such a good pun. To the left of that is something else that it's not coming in very clear here. I think this might be the end of our clear images in this one. We'll talk about these guys in just a second here. But just below a net full of Jello, there is a fish that is found in a bird cage. It is a nod to a type of food. It's Cajun fish. Caged in fish. Cajun fish. So burnt fish. Up here on the top, we do have some of the dolls that were actually used. These are the actual dolls from the end of the film during the Salute to All Nations, but mostly America. And then up here, we do have Kermit the Frog in a captain outfit. And that's just a nod to old Muppet Show short, or sketch, I should say. Okay, so in addition to all this stuff, is there anything else that we're going to be looking at really of importance here? I don't think so. I think the video is almost over. No, this is my wrap up. This is me saying, and thanks for joining us. Well, my name's Brent Dodge. Subscribe. Okay, so in addition to that, we're going to go through and show more videos and footage and pictures next week of the area. But let's talk a little bit about a few of the other details that can be found in here. First off, when you first walk in, you get your 3D glasses. On the left-hand side, you can find some of a crate that is labeled to Miss Piggy, and it features her satin gowns. And then our next one says some of Miss Piggy's more expensive gowns. And then the next crate says some of Miss Piggy's even more expensive gowns. And it just looks like 3 giant crates. You can open these up. It's not recommended. You really shouldn't. However, if you get curious, like I did at one point, you can open it up, and inside of it is actually where they store all the Muppet Vision 3D glasses. So this is between every single wait time or every single pre-show. What they do is they take out the old tray that's almost empty, and they put new trays in there to have it so the next group of guests can get their 3D glasses. So in addition to that stuff, around the room, we can also find references to Gary and Mary. Now, if that name sounds familiar, then you've probably seen The Muppets, the movie that came out back in 2012. In The Muppets, there is Gary and Mary. They are the 2 main human characters played by Marshall Erickson. What's his real name? What is his real name? Jason Segel. Jason Segel, and now I can't think of her name either. And I can see her, Amy Adams. They are the 2 main human characters in the film, and they are sending things from Smallville, USA to Walter, Gary and Mary, Gary's little brother, or twin brother, who is in fact a Muppet. And all the different things that is labeled is different things that are actually referenced to whistling. If you look above that crate, hanging in the rafters, you can find a bunch of different nods to football teams. There are about 6 or 7 different football helmets up there. There is this rumor going around I don't know why. All of a sudden, I saw a bunch of people posting this a few months ago when the playoffs were going on for the NFL, and people are saying, yeah, Disney loves the Giants, especially the Muppets. Muppets love the Giants. So if you go inside of the 3D queue for Muppet Vision 3D, you can find the Giants helmet up there as a nod to Jim Henson's love for the New York Giants. And then if you also look up there, there's the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins and the Patriots. So they're just football helmets out there. No explanation whatsoever. We just have some football helmets out there. In addition to that, if you go around throughout all the different crates are featuring things as nods to different Muppet characters, including things like Gonzo's Weirdo Things, Sam the Eagle's patriotic items. We also have Bean Bunny's cutesy wootsy items. And then, of course, one of my favorites is a plank that says, do not remove this plank. And then the plank, of course, has been removed. On the closest side to the end of the theater, you can actually see there is a suit for Kermit the Frog. This is the actual Kermit the Frog suits or tuxedo that he wore in the Muppets. So the prop is real. In addition to that, if you keep on looking around the room, there are going to be things like in the rafters, we've got a nod to Jim Henson. It's actually a Muppet form of Jim Henson up in the rafters. We can also find the pigs from Spaceship from the Muppet Show, and so many other things. There are so many different details in this queue. But that is going to wrap this up. Holy cow. Before we go, does anyone out there have any questions? We have covered the extended queue, the inside queue, most of the waiting area. Next week, I really did not think we were going to go to 4 episodes, but we're doing 4 episodes of a deep dive of Muppet Vision 3D. Next week, we are going to be going into detail about the pre-show, and hopefully we'll have time to go into detail about Muppet Vision 3D itself. And the way we've been going with this thing, who knows, our last episode might be the Wednesday before the show actually closes. We started, on the 7th? Yeah. We have the 7th, the 14th, the 21st. We're definitely going to May 28th, but we also might go to June 4th. Okay, before we go, though, I want to go through it. Does anyone out there have any questions about anything or everything that we discussed tonight about Muppet Vision 3D? Also, while you guys are going through and trying to figure out your questions, let's take a look here. We went down a subscriber. What? We started off at 8,629. We are currently at 8,630. So I apologize to the person who I bored out of their mind to unsubscribe. But let's keep on getting this number up. Hey, does anyone out there have any questions? I'm going to take a swig of my water because I just talked a lot. There were so many different details in there that I just love. I feel like Muppet Vision 3D, the queue and the pre-show and the show are 3 of the most details queue, pre-show, and show that Disney has ever done. Like, I really, truly believe that. Not just because we're talking about it, but without a doubt, Muppet Vision 3D is the best pre-show across property. Like, without a doubt in my mind, if I had to choose only one pre-show to ever watch over and over and over again, it's Muppet Vision 3D. We will go into more detail about that next week. We're going to go through the details. We're going to talk about the storyline. We're going to talk about the other storyline. We're going to talk about the other storyline. We're going to talk about why the chicken crossed the road and everything else like that. Okay, but it looks like no one out there has any questions, so we're going to be wrapping this bad boy up right here. Thank you everyone out there for joining us once again this week. As always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our wonderf't, our super duper, our amazing Patreon. It almost looks like the name Pat Rion. Pat Rion's Pals. Thank you to our Pat Rion pals out there. If you're one of our Pat Rion pals, give us an oh yeah in the chat room. Thank you everyone out there for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed our Part 3 deep dive of Muppet Vision 3D. Come back next week for Part 4 as we continue the zaniness, the craziness, and overall the amazingness of Muppet Vision 3D. Of course, as always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Well, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I can't stand this kind of pressure.